and hopefully it works good because sometimes that happens with me.
Oh shit!
Hey guys, we're live. Welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I got my good friend with me, Tommy Edwards. Oh shit! It just went off the thing. We're gonna do an amazing show. We're gonna play the intro and get started here. And yeah, get ready because it's gonna be an awesome show. And there we go. Should be playing the intro.
Nice. Plug in this power board.
Button, guys. Also remember to subscribe on YouTube. Remember, oh, yeah, there it is. It finally unmuted me. I said I also hit the subscribe button, guys. I don't know if it came up, but remember to subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Rumble. We're nearing 5,000 people on Rumble, so that's good. I need to get back up to the 20,000 I lost when I lost my YouTube. And but enough about that. We have an amazing guest today to finish off the night. We have Touchdown Tommy Edwards. He's a former Virginia Tech football standout, musician, mental health advocate, and whistleblower who says he was targeted and involved in covert programs from childhood. In this episode, Tommy shares his personal journey from breaking records on the football field to speaking out against the dangers of CTE, exposing black ops programs, and surviving ongoing targeting. Tommy and his father, Ken Edwards, made NCAA history as the first father-son duo to score touchdowns in a bowl game, both wearing the number 33 for Virginia Tech. But behind the glory, Tommy was grappling with hidden battles, including mental health and misdiagnoses, which he believes were early black ops operations tied to families' government connections. Since then, Tommy's become a vocal advocate against the lasting dangers of traumatic brain injuries in sports, with a fierce voice for disclosure in the targeted individual community. A gifted musician, Tommy lights up every room with his guitar. Especially the audience likes when he plays Trap House Cotillion every time. And that's one of the favorites on here. But with all that, I'd like to give him a big warm welcome back to the show. My good friend, Tommy Edwards. Tommy, thanks so much for coming on, dude. How are you?
Rob, I'm good, man. I'm, as well as can be, for the circumstances, and trying to remain optimistic and positive, and just take it one day at a time, and not let all the craziness overwhelm me. It's being a target is. What's that?
You want to talk about what's been going on, what you've been having to deal with?
Well, just like really like crazy, like frequency attacks, like direct energy attacks, and like subliminal messaging through frequency, and like microwave direct energy weapon attacks. It's the stuff that causes Havana syndrome, which is non-kinetic brain injury, and I already got plenty of those. I got holes in my brain the size of silver dollars. Which is
it's scary, man. And is that what CTE does? Does it kind of eat away at the brain, or what was that? What is that? What?
Yeah. What happens is, from repetitive, just hits to the head, whether that it doesn't even. I mean, somebody can have 0 concussions and still get CTE because it's the accumulative, hits, and every time you hit, you get small damage that occurs. Typically, it's not noticeable, and it just and the brain can reroute those pathways pretty efficiently. But what happens is, over time, it has difficult time keeping up with the with the micro tears, and in my case, I had lots of concussions too, or like like hits that would definitely register as a TBI, or not necessarily always cognitive impairment or cognitive effects, but I mean, hell, half a dozen times in practice, I'd see white flashes when we hit, and that's your brain bouncing off the back of your skull.
Oh yeah, because I was thinking about this. Like, I know a lot about fighting because I've done like martial arts my whole life, and I watch like UFC fights, and I feel like if someone gets hit with a hard right punch or a head kick, that can really mess up their head. But like in football, it might be even worse, or it might be it's at least just as bad. It may be worse because in football you're wearing a helmet, and like it's like motherfuckers go like head on. I mean, like they go full speed ahead at people. Like they and it's two full speed individuals colliding to see who can overpower the next one, whether it's the person trying to score the touchdown or the person trying to make the tackle. And you see those meetups where the running back will like shoulder into someone to get them to go over so he can, like people like Jerome Bettis. If you remember Jerome Bettis back in the day, like Jerome Bettis was good at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
from the Bengals.
Well, he played for us. Well, he played for the Steelers at the end. He got a Super Bowl for us, but he was. Okay. I think he played for them, or he. Yeah, I think
he was. Yeah, he was a beast. Yeah, like it's like it's worse with the helmet, I think, because it gives you the false like illusion of protection, and it's actually we use it as a weapon. At the beginning of each season and like preseason, like 2-a-day practices, but as we're moving into the full contact, our defensive coordinator, who was my best friend's dad, would say, this is the hardest piece of equipment on your body. Use it, and they would teach us to to run through somebody and use the helmet as a weapon. And I went through 7 face masks my senior year of high school, and like the one that's still on the helmet hardly has any rubber on it at all, and that was the 7th one in 13 games.
Wow.
And then they advertise them to where you could drive a car over them. They're not supposed to bend or change shape, and I would contort them in all kinds of ways, just running through people. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like when I was at Tech, I weighed like 235 and ran a 4.42 40, and you take those two things and combine them, and it creates a situation to where that's mass times velocity, 2 times mass times velocity squared equals like the kinetic energy impact. And like I was saying, routinely subject myself to 150, 200 G's on hits, full speed. Especially if I was hitting somebody that was relatively my same size, and like the speed ratio, like it's pretty crazy, and like so with the CTE, what happens is when the synapse breaks, they have these bundles of tau protein that wrap around them, and when those things break, those tau proteins they like unwind and like tangle, and like when CTE starts, it's like it gets to a point where those tau proteins start to self-replicate in a malformed situation or fashion, and what happens is those things cut off and starve off the capillaries, which starve other cells around there of oxygen, and then those cells die, and then you get cell death, and then the tau protein on those synapses they unwind, and and self-replicating. So it's kind of like it creates, for a minute, it creates like a stiffness around in parts of the brain, but it's rapidly killing the cells around it because it's starving the capillaries, and then it just exponentially gets worse. And as that happens, certain parts of the brain you get shrinkage, and just places where there's no blood flow, and that's just dead tissue. That's where I have like in my parietal lobe. In 2016, I had brain scans done, and at the Almond Clinic, they're called PET scans. They're three-dimensional scans of the brain, and I had two big, like, silver dollar size holes in my parietal lobe, and like my right temporal lobe was bisected, was cut in half. My left temporal lobe had a big hole in it that went way up in there, and then my frontal lobe had a tunnel through it where there was just no blood flow, and then all the scalloping and systemic damage all through my brain. I mean, the neurologist in my post-eval thought she had the wrong images, saying that typically somebody with that amount of brain damage wouldn't be able to really communicate for themselves and would live in a nursing home. And that was 9 years ago. And it's a degenerative disease that pretty much just gets worse.
Wow. Is there anything you can do? Is there anything you can do at all?
Well, of course, I think there's there's nutritional things. Yeah, I went to a neurological rehab in 2018 and was really, really like hopeful and excited about it. And I got there and it was just bullshit. Like half the stuff that they said that they offered, they didn't have there. And I didn't see a doctor the entire time I was there. It was funded and put on by the NFL, the DOD, the NHL, and like professional sports leagues, and basically just as a way to keep former athletes and former guys from ending up in the news, in the news.
And guys, I wanted to say this was I don't know if you guys saw the audience I'm talking to. Like the last show me and Tommy did, it was about maybe it was like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, but it was the night there was that shooting in New York City. Now, what was so crazy about this is it was synchronistic for many reasons, because it was the first time Tommy did a show in like 5 months or maybe 6 months. We hadn't heard from him. A lot of people were wondering if he was okay. And then, but like we did the show, and then we even brought up that there was that shooting in New York as it was as I found out about it. But what we found out later was that it was tied to the NFL. The shooter was tied to the NFL, and the shooter was tied to being against CTE. And for those of you who don't know, that's what Tommy speaks out about, CTE. So it was so weird that shooting happened that night. And it's weird because, that you could say there's Manchurian candidates, or there's people that in this situation could just be pissed off because, he's someone dealing with CTE, and like the NFL isn't acknowledging it. You know what I mean? I don't know. What did you think about that, Tommy? I thought that was weird that we ended up doing that show that night and that happened,
I looked into it a little bit, and, the guy was, he was a running back. And he was living in Las Vegas, but he had played in high school ball in Southern California, and he had some promise, but he didn't end up going. He didn't end up playing in college, but he drove from Vegas to like Nebraska, and then east to New York, pretty much in like 48-hour period of time. Double parked his Mercedes and casually walked into the building there on it's on Park, or not, it's Park Avenue. Where's Rockefeller Center? It's on the same road right there.
Maybe Manhattan or something.
It's in Manhattan, yeah. That's where the shooting happened. So he just double parked the car, gets out with like an AR style rifle, and just casually walks in to the lobby. And it's the NFL, their offices are in this building that's mainly occupied by Blackstone, which is a venture capital. I mean, it's a private equity firm. You know, it's tied to like Alan Dulles'. It started out in I think Alan Dulles'.
Alan Dulles was a Nazi, basically, right? He was CIA, and he was CIA. That part of the CIA could have been linked to the Nazis, right?
Yeah. So his law firm in D.C. Like became Blackstone, BlackRock, all the different, I guess, factions of that one private equity management firm that owns everything, basically. So he goes in and there's an off-duty New York police officer there, so he shoots that guy and I think one or two other people in the lobby, and then goes and gets on an elevator, and the elevator is already programmed to go to a certain floor, and he didn't end up on the floor where the NFL was. He wound up going to the 33rd floor, which was the Blackstone, one of the Blackstone offices, and he ended up shooting one of their employees before he shot himself. He basically he blamed the NFL. He believed that he had CTE. I think he was like 27 years old, and he believed he had CTE, and so he blamed the NFL for downplaying like the severity and the seriousness of it, which is what I was trying to bring to light, and was doing a pretty good job of doing that until they put a target on my back, and I started getting these coordinated attacks on Twitter, and it started before that, just in my hometown with wellness checks. Anytime I would speak about CTE on my Facebook page, the next day there'd be a police at my house doing a wellness check, and they did a succession of those, trying to develop a false narrative that I was a potential school shooter, and I wound up on the federal terrorist watch list, and they ended up coercing my sister to go to a magistrate to seek to have me evaluated psychiatrically, and they broke a bunch of laws and violated my civil rights and committed federal hate crimes in the process. When I found out that it was a school resource officer that went to my sister, who was a principal in the school system, and leveraged her job to get her to go do that. And that officer, his superior was the deputy chief of police, who is the wife of one of my former high school coaches, who was supervising magistrate for all the magistrates of Southwest Virginia. So when my sister went to go seek to have me evaluated, she had to go do that through a magistrate. So all this had been prearranged, and even the state hospital where I ended up being taken for 6 days over a federal holiday, over Martin Luther King holiday. I found out from one of their employees after the fact that they had announced the day before that I was going to be coming there, and advised the entire staff, if they interacted with me, what to talk about, what not to talk about, those kind of things. Which is, I hadn't even been evaluated to be determined whether or not I would need to be hospitalized. So it was like sending somebody to the gulag. They were trying to shut me up.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they're developing this narrative that I was a potential school shooter and a threat to my community. And when I figured out that I'd been subjected to, criminal conspiracy and hate crimes. I posted about it on social media, and within 10 minutes, I was in New Jersey visiting my ex-girlfriend at the time for her birthday. But within 10 minutes, I get a phone call from a dispatcher from Bradford City Police telling me to take the post down because I named names and was able to put it all together, the people involved. And I asked her if I was breaking the law. She said no, so I told her to fuck off. And then she asked me if I was home. I said no, I was out of town. She asked me where. I said none of your business. And then the next morning, I get a phone call from the Radford Police, who are calling from inside my house. They said they had, quote unquote, a wellness check, came to my house, said the door was standing open, which wasn't true. Like my cousin had just left after feeding my dogs. And I just talked to him literally a minute before they called me. And they kept me on the phone for 45 minutes, talking to me, asking me a bunch of questions that are, that in and of itself were violations of my civil rights. And HIPAA violations and all kinds of stuff. And so I have a little house. It's only 5 rooms, and they're in there for 45 minutes searching to make sure I'm not in there dead. And they got me on the phone talking to me. And I was pleasant the whole time talking to them. I was agitated and a little freaked out that they were in my house, but they were keeping me on the phone to ping my phone to figure out where I was. Now they entered my house without a warrant. They pinged my phone without a warrant, which would be required for both of those things. And then when they figured out where I was, they contacted the authorities in New Jersey and requested a SWAT team to be dispatched, saying that I was armed, homicidal, and most likely headed for a school.
Wow.
And which is crazy, I started a nonprofit organization after the shootings of Virginia Tech to raise awareness from mental health, to destigmatize mental illness as a way to try to prevent school shootings in the future. And they were trying to create this narrative that I was a potential school shooter, and then in 2020, that was 2018 when all that stuff happened. In 2020, I met this chick who revealed herself to be a handler, an asset of the CIA that had been assigned to me. And she told me that I was programmed to shoot up a school, and that they couldn't understand why I wasn't responding to the triggers. Which I think it's all just crazy bullshit.
Well, I got a question for you, Tommy. Do you think that kid that shot up that did that New York shooting, and you said yourself, you think you were being used in college? Do you think a lot of times athletes are used in black ops programs in their college years when they're playing sports, almost as maybe even you can go as far as say super soldiers, maybe to even be used at that time for that purpose and then activated later for another purpose?
Yeah, I mean, even earlier than that, just in general, all the entertainment industry, sports entertainment, music, television, film, news, it's all conscripted and run by the CIA, and as a way to control information, control the narrative, and also as a way to develop assets that could be used in different ways. For me, my dad played in the NFL, and I was chosen and started being programmed early in life, before the age of 6. And then and those programs, the early programs, that kind of break down the psyche and split the personality so that alters can be created for different purposes, whether it be a Manchurian candidate or a courier for information, or celebrities are oftentimes utilized as CIA assets. Sometimes knowing this and participating in these different things. Sometimes not knowing what's going on. What's the name from the Gong Show claimed to have been a CIA asset, and celebrities and athletes travel a lot, and sometimes that gives the opportunity for things to go on behind the scenes in different locales that wouldn't typically occur, or that that just gives that person an excuse to be somewhere when these other things also happen in that locale. So, and whether the person knows it or not, if they're programmed and it's an altar, typically there's no there's like a firewall in between the two. Like the pathology of the front personality has one set of memories and awareness, and then the alters have completely separate, typically, and unless something starts breaking down the programming, and those things start to integrate, and you start to remember things that seem like just weird dreams or kind of nightmare scenarios, or just weird fuzzy memories, like that started to happen to me when I was at Tech. I think because of the introduction of psychedelics in my life, that kind of allowed me to break through some awareness issues and to see reality for what it is, and I started getting kind of downloads of information about physics and the universe and all kinds of things that just seemed like just like a spiritual awakening more than anything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I started like having like my last summer at Virginia Tech, when I moved off campus, the house I moved into was like 30 feet from Moog, which is a military industrial complex, corporation manufacturer. They manufacture direct energy weapons, and I thought it was alien abductions at first, but now I think maybe my lab or some type of combination of the two. I started getting this like sleep paralysis, and that led to kind of a breakdown, but also like actively seeking information to try to understand what that was, a framework to understand that experience through, and I started studying and reading different spiritual paths and studying different world religions and philosophies, and that led to like New Age, but also like shamanic worldviews, and which led me to like this concept of the guardian, that allows us or doesn't allow us into like the void or the Akashic record, astral travel, and awareness of other realms, and a larger connectedness of self and within the tapestry and framework of reality itself.
That's a good point. Yeah. And that was all through psychedelics?
Well, I had one experience with psychedelics that summer with a buddy of mine. We hit acid and some mushrooms together, and it just we had a profound experience that day. Like that morning, we decided we were going to go for a drive. And we go out. It was dark outside, and we go into change, and we come outside, and it's light, but it's foggy, and you can barely see your hand in front of your face until we get to the car. And then we drove around Blacksburg for maybe half an hour. And we did not see another person or another car the entire time we drove around. We went to campus and drove around the drill field and didn't see another car or human being. And even though it's summer, I mean, there's all kinds of things going on campus. There's camps, there's classes, there's just faculty, staff, students, and just and visitors would be kind of all over the place. And then we did a second lap around the drill field, and when we did, we came as we approached War Memorial Gym. All of a sudden, we realized there was like 100 people in athletic gear stretching like they were getting ready to go run, like a marathon or something. But there were still no cars, so we immediately drove back to the house and dropped off. But that seemed like an experience outside of time. Like we have there's two types of time. There's chronos and kairos time. And the Greek said there's two words kind of explain. Chronos is like it's the chronological. That's the time that we're used to. The clock, the calendar, appointments. Got to keep our schedule and shit. And then there's kairos time, which is the time outside of time. That's like God's time, or like that when we're like in direct communion with the Maker, because it's like time stretching on infinitely, but also can seem like a lot of time flies when you're having fun, that kind of thing. But like have you ever been in a car wreck or something, or like fighting where everything slows down?
Yeah. It's like you're in the zone. You're in the what do they call that? The flow state.
Yeah, that's time compression or expansion. And in a time, we don't experience time the same, like as human beings. When we have these experiences where time is compressed or expands, those are totally different perceptual like experiences within in the definition of how we experience time. Like for example, for downhill skateboarding, like I started like bombing hills as a way to like meditate when I was in my 20s, and it's weird because like that hill, no matter how big the hill is, from the top to the bottom, it goes quick. But when you're in the moment, it's like that moment just stretches and just expands, and you notice every little thing. You feel everything. You see everything, and it feels like a minute long ride can seem like 2 hours.
Yeah. I have that. I have that outside. I think I don't know if I told you this. I have this weird thing that keeps happening where I'll have these dreams where I'll be in the dream for like, I mean, it's like 5 hours I'm in the dream, but it feels like I'm in another reality for like months at a time. Like I'm like living a whole other reality, and then and I'll be there for a long time. Then I'll wake up and it's only been like 5 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like you're saying. It's like maybe somewhere outside of this time, like time isn't linear, or time doesn't move the same as like it does here.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. And that's the thing. Like we experience time from in a chronological like straight line for the most part. Like because we're fourth dimensional beings. We live we have length, width, height, and time. Time, like for us to go from point A to point B takes time to get from here to there, and that is a dimension, or that's a fourth dimension, like kind of component to our reality. Well, the thing is, just because we experience time from past to future, doesn't mean that's the only way it exists. It's like remembering the future, like precognitive experiences. We can remember the future because the future is moving towards us just as fast as we're moving towards it. And our beliefs and what we put out there draw those things, start to gather and draw the things that that we need to accomplish whatever it is, whether it's I mean, if it's conscious, we can pull things together to create things that are bigger than the sum of their parts. But we also do this in a negative fashion through negative self-talk, like negative tapes that we run in our head, of things that people said to us that are hurtful, or that aren't they're not representative of who we are or what we are, but we project those things subconsciously because other people have dumped that shit on us. You know what I mean? And then we take ownership of it. We're all creative beings, and we either create with conscious intent and awareness, or we create this de facto, this kind of wake of just debris behind us. But we still create regardless. It's like the quantum reality is it responds to our wants, our thoughts, our beliefs, it's like in studying subatomic particles, when we get down to the level of quirks, we realize that when we're observing quirks, they will move where we think they're going to move. So our thoughts will influence where those quirks show up in their next movement, right? Sometimes they show up two places at once. So if our thoughts can affect reality at the building blocks of reality, the smallest pieces of matter, which it's not matter at all. It's no matter. It's just energy bouncing around, and then those things combine to make atoms, molecules, everything, us and the world around us. And so in quantum reality, like everything happens. There's this thing called quantum superposition, right? And quantum superposition is that's where all things happen. It happened. It didn't happen. It both didn't happen and happened. But all outcomes exist within superposition, right? So if that's true, then if we're conscious and we believe and we focus our intent, then we can hedge our bets towards more favorable outcomes. Because the shitty outcomes there, the best possible outcomes there, and everything in between. So, like when I fell and fractured my skull, I was in intensive care. I sat and visualized the swelling going on my brain all night, and the doctor came in and said, he said, I don't use the word miracle, but you seem to have experienced a miraculous amount of healing overnight. Like 3 weeks worth of swelling went down, and I've had other things in my life that I've witnessed that like people that have had cancer, that those things disappear through like visualization and intent and focus. In we're all healers, we're also all our own worst enemy too, so it's both the biggest possible gift imaginable and also a potential curse, depending on where we focus our time, our energy, and our awareness. Yeah,
I agree.
Like we manifest illness in our body, and, from our psychological states, and from from our negative self talk, or just how when you get around somebody who's really negative and they it just drags the whole party down. You know what I mean? It affects everybody around them.
Yeah. We had a question.
Yeah.
This is from Kitsalao. He wanted to know, so do you mean it depends on our intent? I guess.
Yes.
This wasn't from before. I think from this, something you were saying before.
So time doesn't depend on our intent, but the outcomes of situations are definitely influenced by our awareness, intent, belief, and faith, and like and a focus. Like the miracles that I've experienced myself and that I've witnessed, that they all had this component of focus and through visualization, through intent, awareness, and like miracles happen. Like it's and not just with our health, but like with with ideas and things that we want to do in our life. Dreams. Like I've said something, and then somebody walked up to me. I said, I need this. And then like within 2 minutes, somebody walked up to me and gave me that thing that person didn't even know me. And like this was in Southern California when I was sitting having a conversation with my mentor, who he was one of the architects of the remote viewing program for the CIA back in the 70s, 80s.
Wow. So you manifested it in a way.
Yeah. And just it's like within minutes.
That's amazing. It's amazing. I was seeing if there was any other comments there. Yeah, this is I was seeing. Let me see what else let me see what else we can get into. You want to talk about music, how that's become a tool for healing and connection, and music ties into this too.
Music, art, color, all those things do. Aromatherapy, like they're all tied to different different sensory, like awareness. We have there's 7 colors in the spectrum, right? And we have the 7 chakras, and there's also seven. There's actually there's 12 notes in an octave, but there's 7, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you have the minors, or you got the sharps and flats within the scale. But each one of those coordinates with our with one of our chakras, which are like they're the main vortices, like vortexes that the energy moves in and out of our body from our aura, or our energy body, and our aura extends beyond the physical body, and then the energy moves, the chi or prana. There's different terms to describe that energy, that life force that flows through us. And some of the vortexes are centrifugal, some are centripetal, so some are pushing out, some are pulling in. And then across our body we also have like acupuncture meridians, which are smaller vortexes that energy channels through. And our aura extends beyond us, and like it can become entangled with other people. If specifically like if you have sex with somebody, your auras get intermingled. It's almost like a quantum entanglement. You know what I mean? So or if you have close friends or family, even if you haven't talked to them in years, suddenly you have a feeling, and you'll call them, and there'll be a reason why, like you had like a premonition or something. You still connected to them, even though you're don't talk and are on the other side of the planet. There's still there's an interconnection that we have with people through our energy. But music specifically, it that helps facilitate movement of those energies within our body area network, essentially, our aura, and
it's like frequency
thing,
that can be used for good, right? I'm sorry, it's like frequency that can be used for good instead of them using negative frequencies against us, right?
Exactly. Well, the thing is, it can be used for good, for healing, and for like emotional catharsis and expression. But it can, with anything, there's a light side and a dark side, a yin and yang, and it's like the concept of dark philosophy. I'm sorry, dark psychology that's used to target people. That they took all the information that about the human psyche, that Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud and Joseph Campbell and all those cats broke down as a way to help us understand ourselves personally and ourselves within context of culture and of humanity. And it's like the hero's journey. It's like the stories we tell. It's always the same stories. We just change the names of the characters and slightly change the scenarios. The details. It's like the hero with 1,000 faces that Joseph Campbell wrote, and that George Lucas based Star Wars and the Force on and the Jedi and versus the dark side. But music is an amazing example. It's healing.
Yeah.
You may be in the worst mood possible. You there's a specific song you put on, it comes on the radio, and it just makes you smile, makes you feel good. It makes you want to get up and dance. But transversely, if
you really can have it. Yeah, can have it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Then, like on the flip side, like in Guantanamo, when they got they're torturing dudes and playing the Barney song on repeat for 24 hours a day, just to fucking drive them crazy. It's like when we went to Panama to take down Noriega because he got too big for his britches within the CIA's cocaine trade for arms, during the Iran Contra affair. They blasted the song Panama by Van Halen loud as shit on repeat for like 3 or 4 days. And it erodes the person's makes you feel like going crazy. It's like that one roommate in college that only plays that one song that's the hit off the CD over and over and over again until one of the roommates decides they're going to go in and take that CD and take some sandpaper and make it not play anymore.
That's hilarious. That's funny. Oh shit. I was if you had any questions. If you guys have any questions for Tommy, put them in the chat and we'll get to them.
I take
so what's your final take on that, dude? Oh yeah, we could play. Yeah.
My final take on what?
What do you on that dude, the shooter? Do you have a final? I mean, what do you think was? If you had to guess, what do you think was up with him?
I don't know. My heart goes out to him, his family. It's sad that when somebody is hurting that much, that they take it upon themselves to try to go in, like kind of dole out some justice. It's like the kid who killed the CEO of the insurance company. You know, like that's kind of the vibe that it was coming off of it. I wish I could find more information about the guy, because that's generally pretty telling. I'd say he was probably targeted. I think he worked as a security guard in Vegas. And Vegas it's a big that's a big hub of programming and like MK Ultra like programs and shit. Like Vegas, LA, Nashville's a big hub. The entertainment centers, capitals of the country. Of course, New York, Chicago, but specifically, there's some Denver.
Yeah.
There are some cities that really specifically, it's psychological engineering. It's monarch programming in mass. And it's like they took everything they learned during MK Ultra and started to apply it through technology and the media. But and I wish I could learn more about the kid. I feel sorry for him. I know that anger, and like not to the point of homicide, but just to try to get the NFL to take responsibility for, it knew since the 1920s that this shit fucked your brain up, and and they but if they said that, then kids wouldn't play Pop Warner or Sandlot football or high school, and that's how they not only develop their players, which are like properties, but also their fan base.
Yeah, and it's a huge sport that'll never go away, probably because of that, right?
What?
It's a huge sport that like will never,
Well, put it this way, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars to downplay CTE. I mean, from like 2016, I mean, there was a huge contingent of people on Twitter that were a community that were raising awareness for CTE and working to try to change things and to make it to outlaw children being able to play contact sports before the age of 14 because the critical neurological development stages that are occurring. They did a study, and kids that played just 1 year of Little League football, I mean, they saw marked changes in the white matter of the brain. Great. And the gray matter, in just 1 year of Little League football. So you can imagine each year that you play, there's a cumulative effect. And the earlier you start, the earlier you see symptoms. Like before the age of 12, you see symptoms 2 years earlier. Typically, if you play youth football or youth or high school, you start seeing CT symptoms about 26 or 7 years old. But if you start before the age of 12, each year before the age of 12, then you see it 2 years earlier. So if you start playing when you're 11, you start seeing it like 24, 25. You play when you're 10, then it's like 22, 23. But then before the age of 10, it's 3 years. 3 years earlier for each year. And now they have, I mean, like I dated a woman years ago who had a son, and we were taking him to Little League football practice. And this is the reality of it. To ride to practice, he's helmet, shoulder pads, full pads, sitting in a fucking car seat.
What?
What? Yeah, I mean, the law states that at that age he had to be riding a car seat, because he was, first, second grade. But here we are. He's wearing pads, and we're taking him to football practice, and there's no oversight there. There were no rule changes in Little League football or high school football, like the rule changes that happened because of CTE and concussion awareness, or just the focus of it in the media, because a bunch of former NFL guys committed suicide, and it became really a public thing, and then like the movie Concussion, all that shit, like a lot of those things were caused from like dudes trying to deal with their depression because their brains don't have the place for the serotonin to attach and like to dock, you know what I mean, to where you feel well-being, trying to deal with the depression, and but you can't take antidepressants to fix that kind of depression. That's the recipe for suicide, homicide. And a shrink for the NFL told me that personally, which is why they treat guys depression with that type of depression with ADHD medications, like Ritalin or Adderall, because it boosts dopamine.
Wow.
It also helps with executive function and gives you a little bit of energy to be able to stay on task.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, man. That's insane. It's wow. I never knew it was that bad. It's really that bad. It's really like a horrible thing. Like, and there, it's not just football. Like I said, they're promoting fighting sports too, because now younger people are getting into fighting sports.
Yeah.
And
gladiatorial games, combat sports, collision. Football's not contact sport. It's a collision sport. And like anytime you're slamming yourself into somebody, or you're emulating war, it damages the brain. Like look at Muhammad Ali.
Oh my God, he was a big yeah. It's one of the dumbest sports out there right now. I don't know if you had to have saw it. I don't know. I don't watch too much TV, but I know this because I watch the UFC. The guy who's on the UFC, or the guy who owns the UFC, he did a side business called oh shit, I don't know where Tommy went. I was just about to talk about the slap fight league, about how dumb that is. I don't know if you guys saw that. The slap fight league, where they'll stand like right across from each other and they'll tag each other back and forth. Like the one person lets the other person sit there and blast them full blast, like, with a slap. But you can knock someone out with a slap. All you got to do is hit them on the chin. You know what I mean? You have to just hit someone the right way. You can hit someone on the temple right here. You can hit them on the jaw, or on, the jaw knocks someone out. The temple knocks them out, and the back of the head, believe it or not, will knock someone out, depending on where you hit them at. That's three. So whenever you're aiming for a punch, aim for the jaw. Aim for the jaw. I mean, that's my tip. I always aim for the jaw. I mean, if you just want to end it quick and knock someone out, you could be more brutal. You can blast them in their nose and break their nose, or you can, I don't know why I'm talking about this. I don't know why I'm giving fight pointers. Probably because Tommy went off and I'm trying to think of something to talk about. And I smoked weed. So when I start thinking about fighting, I start getting like deep into it, because I did it for so long. So I and there's a big fight this weekend. There's a big UFC 319, I'm sure I'll be watching. But the temple punch can kill spider bite. You're right about that. What are you eating, Black Uni? What are you eating? You said munchies, and then you said nom nom. What are you eating? And Sovereign Cosmic Modman says fart outs. I guess that's when you fart someone you blast them with a fart and into another realm. You can blast someone into another dimension with a fart. Amy Rizzo says the KO button. Black Uni says she wasn't eating. She says she's just being silly. That's cool. I hope Tommy comes back. I mean, I wasn't going to stay on the show much longer because I did 4 shows today. You know what I mean? So like I'm getting ready to go to sleep. Honestly, I think after this, honestly, I was supposed to do more work on my show. I think I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm going to go out and smoke a joint and go to sleep because oh yeah, I think so too, Derek. I think Chimaev will he's going to probably submit him or knock him out in the first round. Matter of fact, that would be a good bet for a lot of people out there. Bet Chimaev, first round knockout, first round submission. You can bet the round and the exact method. He's not gonna. That would be a good bet. Black Uni says, I never told you my Ellis sigil story. What is that? I have a sigil story. I think I told it before. I use sigils a bunch of times. Yeah, check out Tommy's YouTube, guys. YouTube at Tommy Edwards 7062. And tell the. Oh, you want me to tell the sigil story, Black Uni? Okay, I'll tell it. I mean, I think I've told this before, but I mean, it's funny. It really is, because so I was doing, I was a mortgage broker, but then in 2015 or 2016, when I started getting back into all this stuff, I was obsessed with magic. I was obsessed with being able to manipulate my reality. So I started doing sigils, and I had no clue what I was doing. And I was selling phones and I was selling cable at the time for AT&T. I was working for AT&T, one of the one of the stores you would see in the mall or something, but this was in a plaza, but still same difference. So I did this sigil, and I remember drawing that sigil that night, and I put so much intent into that sigil that I was going to go to work the next day and I was going to outsell everyone. I said, I'm just going to fucking destroy. I'm going to get so many sales. And the next day came, I went to work. I sold 13 phones and 3 cable plans. I swear to God, I did. So magic can work. But then the day after that, I got fired because they said someone walked out of the store without paying, which I think they set me up because they didn't like me. That's the conspiracy theorist in me, because I would never let someone walk out without paying. So, but it was experiences like that that led me to where I am now, where I was like, you know what, I cannot fuck with this. I'm not good in these job settings. I need to do something for myself, and it kept getting worse. I kept having to take, worst job after worst job. And I was working some of the worst jobs in the world before I started doing my podcast in 2020. And then in 2023, I said, I'm just going to try to find a way to make this work. And, I've, tried to do that. I've tried to make it work ever since 2023, and I haven't had to go back yet. It's getting real close to me having to go back to take a job. It's getting real damn close to me having to take a job, because they demonetized my fucking audio podcast while I was in Florida. I woke up from a nap. I've told you guys this story. I woke up from a nap and I saw that my audio podcast was demonetized. I was like, God damn. I was like, they'll find any way to fuck with you. You know what I mean? And it happened the first day of the conference. I had already been in Florida for 3 days. I was enjoying myself so much. I was having so much fun, just going from the beach to the pool, the hot tub. And then I got an infection on my leg from the hot tub. I'm pretty sure I got some kind of weird infection on my leg from the hot tub. It had to be from that, yeah. But, yeah. Amy, you have a good point. You say in sales, the people you work with are unfortunately your enemies. That's a good point. That is a really good point, because you're all trying to compete against each other, because they make it a competitive type atmosphere. You know what I mean? They're supposed to be your colleagues and your work companions, but they end up being, some people think, yeah. Sovereign Cosmic Wildman says, just a stepping stone to a smoother kickback job like security. I never did security, but yeah, Jason says it's financial target. It definitely is. It definitely is. They do, because I don't see some of these other channels that just talk about UFOs and stuff like that. I don't see them getting lit up like me, I tend to have I tend to be one of the most censored channels on YouTube for some reason. And, I don't know why. We'll see, because I posted some semi-controversial stuff today. That show with Ryushin, you could say, was really controversial. I might have to take that down and put it on Rumble. And then I might have to take down the one with Casey, because we talked about natural health stuff. And then what was the other one? The one with Brad was okay, but yeah. But then that just gives an excuse to draw people over to Rumble, which is what I want, because like, but I think people end up just getting pissed off and they don't even watch it. Some people, but I can't help that. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep going through this like censorship over and over again and them taking down videos and suspending me and like, you know what I mean? It's exhausting. It really is, it really is exhausting. It's like, it's to a point where it's like, you know, it's you do all this hard work and then they just shoot you down. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. Black Unity says Rumble might be the next trap though. Why do you say that? Oh, and by Sovereign Cosmic Wildman says you're going to finish watching the Ryushin one tonight while on the clock. Well, you know what? There's a part 2 tomorrow. He's coming back on tomorrow at 2 p.m. to tell the rest of the alien attack. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think we're going to be under attack by aliens? Like, and then I told my friend about that. My friend stopped here today, and he told me the blood eclipse wasn't supposed to be till next year. So I'm not sure if it's this year or next year. Yeah, Jason has a good point. He says the Odyssey is the most. Thanks Black Uni for looking for me on Odyssey. Yeah, I'm on Odyssey, guys. Like, and that has the biggest archive, but I haven't been posting anything new because I haven't been able to keep up with everything because I'm doing like 3 or 4 shows a day. So I have no time to do anything. I haven't been able to post new audio episodes. I haven't been able to post anything to TikTok. I haven't been able to post anything to Odyssey. I haven't been able to make any clips because I want to start making more clips. I want to use one of those AI programs that that makes the clips for you, and start posting stuff to TikTok and Instagram more, No chance in what spiritual ascension? Derek says the lizard people are about to have a big reveal. I think Tommy's gone, guys, for the night. So, definitely support Tommy. I think his Cash App is Dr. DrGonzobingbong. I've done so many shows with him. I know it off by heart. Support Tommy. He's really trying to do some good stuff, as far as like exposing targeting, and he's exposing like CTE. Those are 2 huge things, Mel says, remember Admiral Byrd said a false flag event with the aliens. Yeah, he did, I mean, oh, my light went out. Yeah, everybody's going to sleep. I think I'm going to go to bed too. It's 11:30. I don't really have much to say. I had a long day, and then I have another long day tomorrow. I have 4 more podcasts tomorrow, guys. So I have one at I can tell you right now. I have one at 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So at 2 o'clock, I'll be on with Ryushin again. At 5 o'clock, Renee Nagel's going to come on. I don't know. I'm not sure what she's going to do yet. I want to see, she's going to talk about hypnosis, but then I wanted to see if she wanted to do a couple readings as well. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern, I have a joint podcast with Coley. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern, Rock Castaldo will be back on. So, big day of shows again tomorrow here on the Typical Skeptic podcast. And I don't expect everybody to tune in for every one. They'll be here for when you get bored and you want to watch stuff. You know what I mean? So Black Uni says in July you couldn't get enough bookings. Now you're all booked up. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of days at the end of this month where I don't have shows. Like I don't have anybody for the 19th, 20th, 21st, 24th, 25th, 28th, 29th, and 31st. I got to find someone. Speaking of Black Uni, I'd like to get Mark back on, which we've been talking for months now about doing a show. And I'm talking about me and Mark from Forever Conscious Research. Like I really like him, and I like Dan from the Overwatch Project. I'm really big fans of their work. and I like what they talk about and research. And I really want to get Mark back on the show. It's just been like we will start to talk to each other, and then it just kind of falls off. Like, but that doesn't mean we're not friends. We're definitely friends. So and he knows I like his work, and yeah. So I just got to get a hold of him and get it scheduled. So if you have anybody you want to see, if you have anybody you want to see on this show, just email me or leave a message in Discord or on the Telegram group, or I'm trying to think of how else. I'm on Facebook too. I don't know. I guess that's it. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, support the podcast if you can, guys. There's links to donate in the description. And thank you so much all for tuning in tonight. And thanks to Tommy Edwards. Support Tommy, guys. Subscribe to his channel and all that good stuff. And have a good night, everybody. Love you all, and take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.